Recently I was looking through my old Instagram stories and I realized I've deep fried all kinds of things. Nashville hot chicken tenders, mashed potato balls, shrimp po' boys and french fries, chicken tenders and waffles, catfish and hush puppies, popcorn chicken, Nashville hot fish sandwiches, General Tso's chicken, a full Red Lobster platter, deep fried turkey filled stuffing bombs, homemade McChicken kind of sandwiches with just to say I ground the chicken, breaded those patties and fried those, succotash with house pickled and fried okra, chicken tenders with mumbo sauce, chicken parm, Burger King's chicken parm burger. Who could forget the Kool-Aid sandwich? But I'd never actually fried classic bone-in chicken. I decided to give it a shot using Eric Wareheim's recipe from Foodheim. Except he describes how to ask your butcher to section up a bird for you, and I think it's kind of fun to do it yourself. Even if you don't need a whole chicken, a lot of times that's by far the cheapest way to buy the meat. You can freeze the pieces you don't need right now and cook them later, but today we're doing the whole chicken. These giblets and organs you can freeze and make stock with later on if you want. Fried chicken used to be really associated with like a Sunday supper, something to eat on a restful, leisurely day. It takes some time to prepare. As I cut this up, I'll be dropping each piece into a buttermilk brine, along with some garlic, some spices, including 6 tablespoons of cayenne, making it really spicy. Kind of reminds me of the spicy recipe from Popeyes. Breaking down a chicken seems a little tricky at first, but after a few times you start to get the hang of it. First you start to cut through the skin here to free up the leg and the thigh. Then you can sort of pop that out of the joint. Once you got that free, you can separate the leg from the thigh and drop those into your brine. After you do that on the other side, you can yank a wing off. If you slice right through the joint, you shouldn't hit much resistance at all. Sometimes I dig around with my fingers just to find where the joint is before I try to cut. Now it's just the breast, spine, and rib cage. You can kind of saw through most of the rib cage and peel that backbone out. That's another piece that will go great in your stock. And to get those bone-in breast pieces, you can just cut down right through the middle of the breastplate. The breasts are so big compared to the other pieces, a lot of people like to cut those in half, make this a 10-piece instead of your classic 8-piece. Fried chicken was one of my dad's favorites, and another thing I noticed while I was browsing around on the gram, I was looking at something on Food and Wine's profile and saw my dad had followed them also. It's kind of interesting to think that his Instagram was just hanging out there in cyberspace, and I could, for example, look at all the memes he had sent me over the years. That'll have to brine for at least 6 hours, so in the meantime, you can just enjoy your Sunday. Maybe go for a hike in your neighborhood. My dad used to post a bunch of his home cooking too. Strange things, like crude enchilada nachos, meat and cheese enchiladas, buttered corn, off the cob, pork and beans, thanking Tom Kraft for introducing me to ballpark beef franks. I'm trying to make tonight's dinner and lunch for Thursday. Chicken corn sausage dressing with onions and yellow squash that he posted twice. Potato chips for breakfast. The queen on his work wallpaper. More chips. Trying to eat a little healthier. Looks like carrots and squash on a plate. I know this might not look all that great, but it's pretty good. Kind of a beef hash and sour cream and potatoes. I'm working on some pastes with bologna de sauce. I think it will be goof. Seems milkshakes were the order of the day today. Sometimes my weaknesses do shine through. Not sorry. Who could possibly question my breakfast from Quick Trip? Diet Coke fountain and a Honeycrisp apple. Dinner tonight, Frito chili pie, pancakes for dessert. Making bread pudding. Leftover pancakes, milks, eggs, sugar, cinnamon, butter, raisins. I think it's done. It will be good, I think, if you like bread pudding. Buttered green beans and homemade Alfredo with egg noodles. Yum. And we see he made that his new work wallpaper. No caption on these. I'm not sure what these are. Pizzas, maybe? An egg wash? After 6 to 24 hours, you can start taking the pieces out of the brine and put them in the flour. It's important to use one hand for the wet stuff and the other hand for the dry stuff. Otherwise, your hand will get too many layers of dredge and it'll look like a deep-fried catcher's mitt. Some semi-homemade chili with beans. Yes, I kinda cheated, but what can you do? Can I use this on chili? 2 runny fried eggs with tuna salad, sweet relish, Miracle Whip on Brahms multigrain bread. Yum, don't knock it. Cheeseburger macaroni on buttered bread, what I often would cook and eat when I was a teenager. I don't think Dad liked it very well. For breakfast, buttered yellow squash with onions. Yum. First course, appetizer. Probably the main course. Pizza rolls and black pepper. A breakfast classic. I think I've previously shared, but it's breakfast, so I must share once again. Who said I couldn't go all out anymore? Here's one where he took a photo of his work computer instead of typing this out on his phone. Just took a photo of it. For breakfast, tuna salad sandwich with fried eggs on top on whole wheat. Yum. Last night I ate poorly for dinner. Well, frosted mini wheats with milk and cinnamon sugar, and I think some Fritos, similar snacks, an early nap. This is my just woke up face. Guess who came to work with me this AM? I'm guessing he means Snoopy. I'm sure many, perhaps most, have grown wary of my food pics, especially since they're probably quite boring. And yet, I intend to carry on. Even if most are bored by them, I really think I use this as a little hobby, and they entertain me. Sautéed yellow squash with butter and salt. Most of you know, a favorite of mine. I remember the first time Sarah and I ever tried to fry something. We didn't have a thermometer, and Sarah and I were sitting here waiting for the oil to boil, and it never did. Finally, I remembered that I had worked in fast food for many years, and I knew that the oil wasn't going to bubble until you put something into it. We wound up with mozzarella sticks that were burnt on the outside and basically uncooked on the inside. Still, I excitedly posted a grainy photo of it to Facebook. Who knows how hot the oil had gotten? It's a wonder we didn't start a grease fire. But yeah, the oil won't boil until something's put in there. That bubbling is the moisture from inside the chicken turning into steam and escaping. It also cauterizes the outside of the chicken to keep it crisp on the outside and prevent the oil from getting inside the meat. So if your oil isn't hot enough, you'll end up with greasy chicken. But if you got it right, you'll get something crispy as can be. The old man knows how to make chicken. I don't know if he ever fried his own chicken at home. I know he liked KFC. Though it was one of his favorites, I don't think he had the same enthusiasm for deep frying at home that I have. Some out-of-focus roasted chicken, I think. I thought to call him and ask him if he ever had. And then, of course, there's the slight sting in remembering that, well, I can't. He always encouraged me to call him with any questions about cooking, and I rarely ever did. But he knew a lot about cooking. Even if it was something he hadn't done himself, he seemed to know a lot about the processes of pretty much anything. But now, that open book was closed and retired to the shelf. I remembered that anything he was ever going to tell me, I've already heard. But just listen to that crunch. And if you like, you can mix some honey with some cayenne, chipotle chili powder, and smoked paprika. Then mix in a bit of the cooking oil. We had to transfer it to a bigger bowl to really whisk it good. Be careful, this oil is blistering hot. But the resulting glaze is a little sweet, a little spicy, and oh so nicey. I'm not sure if Dad would have liked it very well.